We've been getting a lot of comments over the years about how far, how deep you should actually be bending your legs. Anytime we do a footwork video or creating power from the ground up, it's a comment that we see quite a bit. So today we're going to talk exactly about just how much you should be bending your legs and how you should be using your lower body. And there's a big variance here, all right, because you've got the Fabio Fogninis of the world who looks like he's hitting completely straight up, and then you've got the Angelique Kerbers who's always staying super low, but the key is that they're always balanced, stable, and loaded. All right, so let's jump into the 3 mistakes that I see the most. Then we're gonna talk about how to fix them, and we're gonna talk about how you should really be using your legs. Not necessarily there's a wrong way or a right way, but there is an ideal, optimal way to use them better. So first up, we're taking a look at the sand crab. Yep, just like it sounds. Like, these are players that always have a tendency to hug the baseline, and they stay super low throughout all the movements. Now the problem here is it's not efficient getting out to the ball and certainly not recovering from a far wide position. Second up, we have the jack in the box. Just like it sounds. This player knows how to use their legs, but they're loading inappropriately at the wrong time. So they get to the ball, they load a little too early, and as a result, they end up standing up through the shot and losing their kinetic chain that they created from the ground up. And lastly, the player that we see the most, the scarecrow, not using the legs at all, just swinging from the upper body and not using their legs. So within a point, we have 3 phases in which demand different things from our legs. We have the receiving portion. This is when we're moving out to the ball that is being struck. We have the loading portion. This is just before we hit the ball, making sure that we utilize our larger muscles of the lower body, creating the kinetic chain. And then we have the recovery. And a lot of times after we hit, we land to load and then recover back, all using the lower body, the big muscles, the glutes, the hamstrings, the quads, you name it. So the mistake with these 3 is that they're using them at inappropriate times, right? So of the 3, the sand crab would probably be the closest, right? Like, if you can play tight to the baseline and stay that low, fine, right? We see players do it, but the problem is that you're burning yourself out, and it's not the quickest way to and from the ball. So let me talk to you a little bit about what the 3 steps that we're gonna use in order to make sure that we are using our legs efficiently. So step 1, it happens with the ready position. We wanna make sure that we have a wide stance, okay? Because if I'm narrow in my stance, my first move is going to be shallow, it's going to be weak. If I'm wide, I'm able to get lower when I need to. So if somebody hits a really good shot and suddenly I'm reaching out to the far side of the court, you can see there I can immediately take this strong step out to the ball and use those large muscles that create a much larger stride. All right, so step 1 is widen the stance. If you have a player that you're having issues getting them to stay low, or you yourself as a player, you're standing too far up, like we talked about with the scarecrow, it starts with the ready position. So this is a no-no. This is where we want to be. And you'll notice as soon as I widen my stance, I sat down a little bit in the chair. Now, I don't have to be all the way here, right? I can be here. We're talking about improving as recreational players. Now, if you're an advanced player, if you're collegiate level, if you're playing on tour, you might be a little bit lower. You know, you're seeing a lot of them hitting off the right and landing on the left, but we're not just seeing that. At most recreational levels, we're not seeing that. So the degree in which you're bending is going to vary upon your skill level. The important thing is that you're loading. So let's jump into step 2. Step 2 is all about the split step. When you land, you should have a direction in which you're moving in. So as I split, you can see the weight went out to my right foot and I'm ready to make that move. A lot of times when we don't use a split step, what's happening is that we're turning and either we're walking the ball down or we're running and we're getting flanked with the ball on the side of our body. So when you split step, as you land, just before you hit, you should know the direction in which you're turning and moving into. In step 3, and perhaps the most important, you have to have the ability to transfer weight from your back foot to your front foot, always. It doesn't matter if it's an open stance. If I step out on the open stance, I still want to finish with that weight back on my left foot. If I have a ball that I can step into, the weight starts on my right foot and then it transfers to my left. Now what you'll notice is that when I get behind the ball with my right foot, it forces me into this bend. I think an important note here for you players that like your open stance forehand, the toe stays parallel with the baseline. Not here. This is going to cause over rotation. So step out, keep that toe parallel to the baseline. And from here, as you load energy, pushing it through the ground, it should transfer back to this left foot. All right, so those are the biggies. Now, there will be some variance. You'll get lower and low balls. Maybe you're caught off guard and you've got to pick up, you get lower, right? But at all times, there should be a ceiling in which you're playing at, and it shouldn't be your height. So me at 6'2", I don't want to play as if I'm 6'2". I want to get down to 6 foot. I want to get down a couple inches. So even through this movement, I'm still able to use those muscles, feel them engage, and keep balance and stable. And that is the key. I promise you, the Figninis of the world are still playing a little bit shorter than they are and loading those legs for efficient movement. All right, guys, really hope this helped an absolute ton. If it did, hit the like button, subscribe, helps us a ton, and leave your comments. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you're struggling with, so in future videos, we can address them and get your game exactly where you want it to be. We'll see you next time.